Save the Semantics, episode 73. It is May 17th, 2019. My name is Myro. This is the podcast where I talk about most things concerning myself and myself alone. I just talk about some stuff. I apologize if this sounds like I have low energy. I kind of do have a. No, I don't really have an excuse. I'm just kind of tired right now. That's all. Few more weeks remaining for this year, and then I'll be going off into summer, which I will probably primarily be working and whatnot, keeping myself busy, which is I'm kind of looking forward to. I like having like a steady schedule. School does have, that like a steady schedule for the most part, but I feel like there are often like these like lapses in time where I have a little too much time to myself and I can't really think of like what to do and whatnot. I'm not sure like what is something that I can just kind of go out and like do by myself, without being. I'm not necessarily saying that like spending time with friends isn't like isn't a good way to kill time by any means. I'm just saying like it's a lot easier for you to set out on your own kind of things and do your own thing, because you can sort of plan out your own schedule and whatnot. That's just me, though. Anyways, it's been a pretty solid week for the most part. Not in anything really notable to really talk about. Oh yeah, the playoffs are kind of going at the moment. Currently, at the conference finals, West is our Warriors and the Trailblazers. Other side on the East is the Bucks and the Raptors. And last night was a pretty exciting game. Warriors kind of snuck past the Blazers at the very last second. There it was pretty exciting. I don't really talk that much about sports. At least I haven't talked about sports that recently. I just feel like I haven't really invested a whole lot of time. But yeah, I've been watching quite a bit of basketball just because now is the time to actually kind of engage in sports. The thing about the Warriors is that like, you can just kind of, like, I didn't watch most games. I probably watched, I don't know, maybe like 4 or 5 full games, and I don't even think so. I have barely watched any games this year. I just didn't really have the time, or like any reason to really sit down and watch a game, just because it's time consuming. In that period of time, I feel like I can just kind of do other stuff, or I don't know, consume other media. I love basketball, but I think that the love for the sport has kind of maybe diminished over time. I still have a lot of appreciation for the sport, mainly because I've invested so much of my life into it, like more earlier on I did, but like it still has sort of like a special place for me. So, but that being said, like I think it's just sort of, yeah, it's just like my love for it has sort of diminished. My appreciation is still there in a sense. Like I don't necessarily I'm not necessarily as engaged, mainly because I just feel like it's not as interesting as it used to be. Like I remember, and I've probably talked about this before too, but like I used to go onto like NBA.com and like the official Warriors page like all the time. I was just seeking out news. I was trying to see if there's like something like new that would happen, and like that was like back when like they were a terrible team. They were like last place in the Western Conference, or just like all of the NBA. Basically, they were one of the worst teams in the league for quite some time. And I was just like, maybe one day they'll win the championship. And then 10 years down the line, look where we are. They've got several on their belt, which is pretty crazy to think about. But yeah, I think it's just yeah, I don't know. Like I'll still watch the sport and whatnot. I think the biggest thing that is sort of like the not detractor, but sort of I'm just sort of put off by it. It's just the amount of commercials there is, like on like cable and like network television. It's just so many goddamn like fucking car commercials, and the same Geico ad, the same Apple ad. It's just over and over and over again. You're just kind of just like, god damn, it's crazy, you know, like you're just kind of get thrown in your face, right? And it's like, how much of this can you really take, right? Like I can't really take that much of it. I think I'm at that point where I'm just kind of like, I've seen so many commercials, probably, you know, probably not as much as. Well, actually, I don't know if I don't have a good comparison for that, but I feel like over the course of my life, I've been just exposed to so many fucking commercials that it's just all kind of like a blur now. But like when I was like watching a game like earlier this week, I just kind of sat down and I actually sort of engrossed myself in the commercial, and I was sort of invested, not really in like, you know, what they were selling, because like it's an obvious thing what they're selling, right? A car is a car, and I don't know, some other product. What else was like on there? I don't know, beer maybe. I think beer is more broadcast. Beer commercials are more broadcasted like during like an NFL game, I guess. NBA is a little more like, I don't know, is more youth driven. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm trying to say like there's just different demographics, I think. But yeah, they were, you know, it's just like I'm just like analyzing these commercials like it's like a fucking, like it's like a film, you know. I'm just like, you know what? I wonder why they decided to do this, take this approach, or whatnot, you know. Like like there was this one car commercial I saw where it was just like, I don't really know what the point of it is really, right? Like it's just so vapid, you know, like there's a woman with her kids, you know, she's bringing them into her car, you know, I forgot what it was. Let's just say it was like a GMC or something. And another mom is like walking past. It's like, wow, how are you able to fit all your kids in your car? And then the other mom is like, well, actually, I have this GMC Sierra or whatever the fuck car it is, you know, and like, it's just nice that I'm able to fit all these cars. It's just like, you know, like unrealistic conversations that would never actually happen in real life, you know, where it's just a talking advertisement. I don't know. It's just so, I don't know who actually buys into these things, you know, like, I'm just curious to see, like, do these advertisements really do anything for like the the profitability of the company? Like, I'm sure they pour a lot of money into like advertisements, you know, like do people actually like go out and buy, you know, I don't know, like if someone were to buy like a new car, like would it be one from like a commercial? Like I just don't, I just have no idea. Like, are they effective, you know? That's a whole nother like case study in its own. But I was just more looking at how stupid the commercial was, you know. And then it's like, anyways, at the end, like sort of the punchline, like I'm doing air quotes, and like the punchline of that commercial was like the mom who was asking about the car, like looking to her side, like it was like cut off, like where you couldn't really see, but there next to her was her husband, like holding like 5 kids or something like that. She's like, you know, maybe we can have more kids and fit it into our car. And he's like, oh, I don't know about that, honey. And he's like holding one on his head, and like one in a basket, one in like a stroller, and one like he's like holding hands with or some shit. I don't know. Like, it's just not like there's no. It's just so. I don't know. Do people who make those commercials just? God, it just must be so miserable. There's just like no artistic merit whatsoever. Like, there's no creativity. There's nothing. It's just so vapid and just so devoid of anything. It's just like, how this is it's so fun, you know? We're just mom just talking about our day. There's nothing. There's really nothing. You learn nothing. Like, I'm overanalyzing it maybe, but I'm just saying, like, you know, you just don't get anything. You're just like, okay, there's 2 families here. One mom has a nice car, and then the other mom wants that car because, you know, she wants to have more kids, I guess. She's like kind of sex hungry. I don't know. And the dad's like, listen, man, I'm just kind of done. I'm just kind of done pumping these out. Like, look at all these fucking kids we have, you know? Like, I feel like there's a better punchline than just being like, I don't know if we can handle these kids. It's like you're just saying the obvious. There's nothing to, there's just nothing. I don't know why it pisses me off so much. Like, it's just a stupid ass car commercial. And nobody's gonna buy the car. Like, most people are not gonna buy the car, right? So, I don't know. It's just it's very cynical, right? I'm being cynical in the sense of, like, looking at the commercial, but like, it's just I feel like the people who make these commercials just don't, I don't know, like, they have really a lack of appreciation for really anything. Like, there's a lot of creative commercials out there for sure, but like, car commercials are probably the least creative commercials out there. Like, they're just so generic. Like, you could do a side-by-side comparison of like any two car companies, and they like basically do the same exact thing. How's it going? So I don't know, like, it's just kind of disappointing, I guess. Not disappointing, it's just sort of like you're kind of looking at it and you're thinking like maybe there's just like a better way of constructing a commercial, like during like the Super Bowl. That's when they like kind of bump up their creativity, because like everyone's watching, right? Like, some people invest more time watching commercials than they are watching the game itself. It's like, I don't know, it's just sort of like it is what it is in a sense. I'm not entirely sure what to go off of that, but yeah, I don't know. I think just being exposed to so many commercials, you're just kind of you just it is what it is. Like, you just kind of develop some kind of like cynical mindset, I guess. But yeah, I've been watching a lot of games recently. I've been sort of enjoying my time with that. It's been good. I haven't really sat down and watched any games recently, so I've been enjoying it. Like, we've had a couple of close games yesterday and the day before. So yeah, it's been good for sure. I also wanted to talk about something else. I think it was related to like the commercials, I think. I'm not entirely sure. I just remember, like, there was this, no, that was not what it was. I was using Google, and so I don't know, like, I was just like on the front page, like my homepage Google, and like there was something that kind of caught my eye at the very bottom of the page. It was like they had some kind of campaign going. It was like it was sort of the, what did it say? I think it was like digital well-being or something like that, and that kind of caught my eye, and so I clicked on it, and it was pretty interesting. Like, it seems like Google is willing to sort of embrace, or like sort of at least acknowledge the negative effects of the overuse of, like, social media and just like the general internet. So yeah, I think that's kind of interesting. We're in my business ethics class that I'm taking currently. We talk a lot about how companies should like operate and stuff like that. The ethics of like a corporation and stuff like that. So, I mean, like, of course you can have all of your criticisms of these giant ass tech companies, especially like Google and stuff like that. But I think it's good that they're sort of acknowledging that there are some issues. There's some issues that arise. Like, I mean, that's like that's the that's the sole reason why this kind of thing exists, is just because I'm able to like bitch about it. If you look at past episodes, you'll just see me just bitching like for 25 minutes about one topic. But I think it's good that like Google is sort of kind of started to sort of look at this. Like, of course you can look at from, again, like a cynical standpoint and see like, oh well, Google's just trying to like capitalize off of people's like inability to I don't know, like, understand technology. I don't know. I actually don't, I don't really know what like the cynical outlook would be, because like I went through like the little survey or whatever it was, like a little Quizlet, and it just says like, how much time do you spend on your phone, like how often do you feel like you need to check on your phone for like updates, email and stuff like that, and it's like it gives you like a scale from like rarely to like all the time, I guess. So yeah, I thought it was interesting, and they provide some, little tools and tips for people to sort of develop like a healthy relationship with your phone and whatnot. So I think I mean it's I think it's like a positive thing, and it's like it's a free it's a free source. It's not like you have to pay to get these tips. It's just kind of, it was just right there. Like I could just click on it, and it provides that information. So I think what Google is doing is a healthy thing, and considering they're like one of the largest corporations in the world, like I think a lot of other companies should like you know take a look at that and like sort of model their own maybe model their own solutions in order to like deal with certain things, like consumer unhappiness, like because so many people have sort of relayed or exhibited that they're unhappy about their situation and whatnot, and they do it through digital media, and sort of like if they're getting fed certain like certain posts about like just these kinds of pretty depressing things, like that kind of affects their mood, and then there's all these other factors that lead to like a general unhappiness of the public. So I think it's a nice step forward in a way, like even if you can look at it from like a cynical standpoint, like I think doing just that does a little more good than it does bad. So I guess I have to commend Google for doing that in a way, just being able to provide that information for the public, and not obviously not monetizing it, but they don't really need to monetize it. They already make enough money as it is. So yeah, if they can just provide some information out there for people to grasp onto, maybe you just educate themselves about sort of the potential potential dangers of social media, just like the dangers of falling into like a social media addiction, or whatever it is, these sort of new kind of potential disorders and syndromes. I don't know what I'm talking about, but that was just kind of like an interesting campaign that I saw recently that I just sort of wanted to make note of. There's another campaign, like I was watching like commercials and stuff like that. Speaking of like commercials again, there was like another, this is kind of not really on like the opposite side, like I think it was like Budweiser or something was trying to like, they were trying to sell their beer in lieu of like the, what was it, the 50th anniversary, 35th anniversary, when was the moon landing? It was like 69, right? That was 50 years ago, right? If I'm doing the math right. If we subtract 2019 minus 50, yeah, it was 1969. So yeah, Budweiser was trying to like sell their beer in lieu of the 50th anniversary of the moon landing, which is, I don't know, like it's just kind of weird that they're just kind of like piggybacking off of like the achievement of NASA and stuff like that. I don't know if there was like a deal with like NASA and Budweiser to sell their beer. Like, did they get consent? I don't know if that's like a really thing that you can really get like consent from like I don't know, a government institution from. Like, what I'm trying to say is like, can you profit off of someone else's success, even if it's like kind of even if it's like more of like a human achievement, right? Like, is that still considered something that you can really profit off of? I don't know. That's just sort of a very rhetorical question. I don't really have an answer for that. I mean, it's I don't know if it's really that big of a deal. Like, I don't think anyone else has really thought about it. I'm probably the only person that's really, was like, I don't know if this is a good idea or not. I'm sure it's fine. Like, it's just beer. It's not really like it's not poison. Well, actually, no. I mean, it is poison, but it's not like it's like Monsanto trying to like sell pesticides for like, the 50th anniversary of like the moon landing or anything like that. If like it'll be, I just think it's funny if like other companies did that kind of thing, you know, like if like I don't know, give me like a if other companies like advertise the same way that um that Budweiser did, I'm just like wondering how they would approach it. Like let's say like Viagra or something, right? 50th anniversary for, you know, the moon landing and, you know, people who are experiencing erectile dysfunction. You know, people who are kind of getting in there, they're getting out, getting older. You know, I don't know. That's just a thought I had. I'm kind of groggy at the moment, so I think I'm gonna end a little earlier than usual. That's probably gonna do it for today. This has been Save the Semantics, signing off.